There are multiple YouTubers who've made it their business to watch terrible films and give back a review or rating to the loving fellow community. Well, I've decided to dip my toes into some of that hot action. I hereby bring to you Mega Twister. Mega Twister is a film about tornadoes in the UK. That's it. That's the plot. The movie is trying to capitalize on the success of the 1996 and 2024 Twister's films. We follow multiple character stories that end up connecting at the end. All of them in one way are affected by this unusual weather phenomenon. Here's a list of the important characters in this movie. The scientist who creates a revolutionary machine for the military but changes his mind when he hears it's going to be used for war. The reporter, down on her luck, needing a big story to get her on top. Her assistant, the quirky guy who has a crush on the reporter. A mercenary group who become the unlikely heroes by the end. Two brothers whose father died because of a tornado, so they made it their mission to find a way to understand and stop tornadoes from happening. And the girlfriend of the older brother. The movie begins with Marcus Boyd, the scientist creating a machine that can self-create tornadoes in any weather condition for the military. When the government official funding this project decides to use the machine for destructive purposes, things go awry. At the same time, a mercenary group enters the facility. Why they are there, I genuinely don't know. This action ends up leading the machine to become faulty and going out of control. One of the mercenaries accidentally gets caught in the path of this AI-driven tornado as the whole base becomes destroyed. Somehow, this machine can self-replicate, creating a total of 3 tornadoes appearing all over the UK at a time. Our reporter Peggy catches a view of one of these and decides to chase down some answers, leading her to the scientist. The mercenaries also want the scientist to get him to shut down the machine, with one of them, this guy, specifically wanting to get revenge because the guy who died at the beginning was his brother. The other 3 characters actually go out of their way to find a tornado to try out this new machine they've made that can supposedly kill tornadoes. But when that doesn't work out, they have to run to safety. Then we have the third act low point where one of our heroes is contemplating about his life and needing to get over his fears. Except this happens at the 24-minute mark.
Got myself killed by one of those things. Killed Mum chasing those things. Now you're gonna get us killed. 'Cause you just can't let it go, can you?
Cody, it's not about letting it go, mate.
Here's the thing. This movie feels weird because it's like the tornadoes have a personal grudge against our characters. Wherever they are, the whirlpools of death will suddenly appear. It's like they're sentient beings, to be honest. But it comes at the expense of logic. There's only 3 tornadoes ever created at a time. How come they're always where our characters are? Because of this, one of the brothers, Brendan, ends up dying in an awkward, stilted way. The director obviously watched Zack Snyder's Man of Steel before making this, because there's a blatant scene copied straight from that film.
He copied my whole fucking flow! Word for word, bar for bar!
I don't usually like judging movies on the basis of acting because I generally can't tell the difference between good and bad acting. But it's safe to say, no one here is gonna be winning an Oscar anytime soon. With the mercenaries coming off as people put in cheap costumes with the idea of them being proper trained military individuals not coming through, in terms of physicality, talk, or actions. The way some of them hold guns screams at you that this wasn't well thought out. Or how the script is the worst thing about this movie. Here's the thing. If you've ever sat behind a computer and tried writing a script, you would know how hard it is to get characters' motivations across through meaningful dialogue that moves the story forward. That being said, damn, this film has terrible dialogue. It's basically repetitive and unnecessary. But I guess that's the charm for some of these films. They don't need to be good. They just need to be. I wouldn't be surprised if in the future, low-budget, high sci-fi concept films become mainstream. Holy shit, Brandon is still alive? This guy dies like 7 times in the same fucking film. They tease his death only to kill him off, then bring him back, only to kill him again. This movie had hints of great thought within it, with tackling the scrambling search of loved ones after a disaster. Even if your loved one is lost, the emotional comfort one can get from finding their body after a tornado can result in some form of closure. But the movie decides to throw all of this out the window. Like, what the actual? There's this one scene edited weirdly where I think one of the actors wasn't there that day. So the crew shot the actors on different days and had to patch everything together. But solely, it just comes off as an awkward and unfinished scene. You can tell because Marcus Boyd is clearly talking from a room with a bed. But when Peggy and her assistant enters the room, it's changed to a sitting room full with a whole couch and everything. Our main lead, Peggy, is facing where the scientist is supposed to be, but they never showed the scientist's reaction. We only ever hear him talking. I feel like there could have been a better edit of this film, cutting out needless scenes that go on for too long or contradict earlier scenes.
Peggy, man! Peggy!
The fact that this film was made on a cheap budget is not at all helping it become believable. You have tornadoes large enough to destroy large buildings and carry heavy trucks, but small structures like these have nothing happening to them. Or that they can carry one person away, but one who isn't holding on to anything but a pole isn't also carried away. The tornadoes also change in color from shot to shot within the same scene, which makes it painfully excruciating to watch. If you remember, the military base was destroyed at the beginning. Let's have our characters drive back to the beginning of where it all started. Oh, looks like nothing's happened. And I'm supposed to believe this is a bazooka? That's a f***ing leaf blower. Also, why are they shooting at a tornado? Like, what does that do? The production design is easily the worst thing about this film. Being shot in a random abandoned building, but somehow they have red cinematic lighting to show characters are angry. Or how the actors have on the same outfit throughout the whole film. It's especially jarring. The ending develops into a by-the-books action, with survivors coming up with a plan to destroy the machine after a motivating speech.
Bunch of jackasses standing in a circle.
Anyway, would I recommend you watching this film? No, I would not. But I managed to watch it all the way to the end, and I don't know if that says anything about the movie.